What's up everybody, welcome back to Double T Gaming. Real quick, want to say thank you all for the likes, comments, subscriptions, and all that good stuff in my previous videos. I really appreciate all the engagement and the support. Today we're going to revisit Ascension's Warcraft Reborn Classic Plus server, Bronzebeard, and give you my opinion on what the truth is with this server. Now I want to emphasize what I just said. This is entirely my opinion and the vibe I got from the server, mixed in with some feedback I got in the comments of my previous video about Bronzebeard. One thing I also want to preface is that the term Classic Plus has become so subjective, everyone's opinion about what it is different. There is no one true answer about what Classic Plus is anymore, so everyone can experience Classic Plus in their own unique way. So with that being said, let's get into Bronzebeard. First off, let me tell you the immediate thing I personally look for in a Classic Plus server, and I think it's something important that all of them have, and that's just a new, fresh experience in the immediate starting zones. We have all done those first 6 levels now a million times. You legit turn your brain off, hit one button, kill your wolves, kobolds, trogs, boars, whatever it is, and you move on. Throughout all iterations of WoW up until Exiles reach that new starting zone or whatever it's called in retail, those first 6 levels are the exact same thing no matter where you go. And that's totally okay. It's one of those things, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But I think if a Classic Plus server wants to really immediately hook in a new player with something they've never done before, if they can mix up that starting zone, then that's an immediate plus to me versus other servers. Now using that thought process as a reference, I thought that Bronzebeard's starting zone revamp was really good and really fun to play. More so than any other starting zone I've played on other servers. I also really like the World Forge items and all the different treasures that you can find, even in those starting zones. It gives you that immersive feelings of jumping into the world and trying to explore it and finding all the different secrets. I think the actual plan for the server itself is also really neat and really unique. Not only are they going through the vanilla expansion, but also going further into TBC and Wrath Plus. And I will stand by this statement, in that if the actual quality of the new zones and quests are up to the same level that the new starting zones are, and we all know that this is the Ascension team, so say what you want about them, we know that they can produce very quality content rivaling even what Blizzard does. But if all that is up to the same level, then Bronzebeard in terms of pure new content wise is going to be incredible. Now with all that being said, there are some things that can make someone feel kind of iffy about the new server, but almost all of these things have some type of workaround if it's not exactly your cup of tea. First off, there are tons of different vanity items that carry over from other Ascension servers. The entirety of Ascension outside of Project Epoch, since that's its own entity, is linked together with different items that you can have all cross-realm. Now you can turn a lot of vanity items off. You can turn off transmog, but it's not uncommon for you to literally start the game as level 1, spawn in, and the first thing you see is another level 1 on a crazy mount with a flying book or even a Chromagus companion following them around with some crazy gear set on already. Again, you could turn transmog off, but you can't turn mounting off. To me, and I think a lot of other people, that kind of kills the classic part of the world. And just to touch on mounts real quick, you can literally get them in the starting zone, or if you had one already from another Ascension server, you can mount up immediately. One of the biggest milestones in vanilla, I think, was getting that mount. For me at least, the achievement at level 40 was one of the most satisfying feelings throughout the entire leveling journey. Finally not having to walk everywhere and having that status symbol. Now I realize the development of the player base, that isn't a big deal anymore. Everyone can basically get their mount at 40 if they do it right, so it's not that big a deal. So I'll be okay even if mounting was reduced to like level 30 like it was in TBC. And both Project Epoch and Turtle WoW have their own different versions of mobility before level 40 to kind of combat the kind of slowness overall, but none of them are as drastic I think as what Bronzebeard does. So to be able to mount up, especially on non-classic mounts like even the camel that I was given for getting alpha access, it just takes away a huge accomplishment I think a lot of players do like to feel. It almost makes it feel like a retail version of Classic, which I think is a lot of people's same sentiment. And even to that, now I might be nitpicking a little bit with this one, there are good quality of life changes, and then there are kind of whatever quality of life changes that I think take away from some accomplishing feelings in the game. Like even just playing through the starting zone, I was given like 10 bags as quest rewards, way more than you'd actually need. Totally cool, don't mind that at all, it's whatever to me, get the extra bag space, yay. But I'd say a very small accomplishment that a lot of people almost look forward to was getting that small green or red pouch bag drop in the starting zone to finally have some of that extra bag space. Or if you're a tailor, you can make bags early on, hand them out in Goldshire or Razor Hill for free, or sell them for some extra silver to start out. But none of that matters now since we are giving so many before you even leave the zone. A lot of people are arguing that this kind of takes away some of the aspect of the difficult RPG elements that Vanilla WoW had that kind of made it really special. And we could jump further down the rabbit hole of how many quality of life changes is too much, or more about what I mentioned earlier with what each person considers Classic Plus to be. Because again, you can ask anyone and it will be different. Some people want Classic Plus that's just vanilla with a lot of quality of life fixes, like dual spec or a little bit cheaper mount training or summoning stones working. Others want the same vanilla struggles, but just in a more horizontally expanded world. Totally subjective, I'm not here to argue that. But saying like I did earlier, a lot of these changes that Bronzebeard has made it a lot more retail-like than other Classic servers. Now in terms of my experience on Ascension, I've played it a little bit in the past, but by no means am I an expert on it. I think I have a level 30 on a Loon, a level 25 on Area 52, and it's been months since I touched either one of them. But there are some different systems and currencies brought into the game that is entirely Ascension specific, and again, might kill the immersion that you're looking for. So at your trainer, you can buy these Mystic Scrolls for Rune of Ascension currency. And this leads into the Mystic Enchant UI system where you can visit an altar, plug them into your character, and they give you some extra passive effects to your abilities or even new abilities varying by rarity. And you earn this Rune of Ascension currency through a lot of different ways, especially endgame with different dailies. Now I don't mind this system at all. It's basically like an upgraded version of glyphs that we got in Wrath. And if all of this was strictly an in-game thing, this is something to grind for and gives a new twist on Classic. But this isn't strictly an in-game thing. You can buy currency from the shop called Bazaar tokens. And then from my understanding of what people told me on Bronzebeard is that those tokens can be used to autocomplete quests that reward runes. So not exactly a one-to-one transfer, but almost like a shortcut to getting those scrolls. And speaking of the shop, there is a ton of stuff you can buy that gives you a head start or just a lead on somebody else. Now we'll say basically everything in the shop is not going to be available on launch day. Some of this is locked behind you having a level 60 or locked behind someone else getting server first in a profession. But pretty much anything that you can think of, it's available to buy with real money. Do you want to max out a profession instantly? They have that. Do you want to be able to teleport to the closest flight master? Yep, that's there too. Do you want to unlearn a talent immediately on the go? Yeah, they got that. Do you want a companion that can be your own personal class trainer? Yeah, that's the floating book I was talking about earlier. Do you want to buy heirlooms or experience pots or an experience aura? Available for all of your alts after level 60. Do you want to buy a 20 slot bag? Yeah, you can do that with tokens also. You can even buy the ability to put down raid markers for your group. On the one hand, with all these different types of items, it's easy to say that Ascension and Bronzebeard is the one Classic Plus server that values the player's time the most with these types of skips. So your average 9 to 5 worker can just jump in and not feel behind if they aren't on the game for 8 hours a day. But I do think this is one of the things that Ascension is most known for, and that's having just a crazy item shop. But on the other hand, all of that is very, very likely to turn your average player off of a realm like this. And some people would say that the easy answer is to just not buy anything. Play the game for free. And that totally works and is totally correct. I assume the majority of people are probably playing that way. You don't have to buy any of that. It's totally your choice. But it's hard to argue against the fact that this kind of pay for convenience type style gives the folks who play with a credit card a major advantage over the people who don't, and that could be a major turnoff for some players. One more quick portion to all of this is that as of right now, there is level scaling. So on stream the other day, the level 29 or 26 that I was playing with in Elwyn, the mobs in Elwyn Forest and the Northshire Valley were scaled to level 25 for him, when I was level 5 and the mobs were like level 4. And there's also item scaling as well, which I don't have as much information about, but I'm assuming it's exactly how it sounds in future versions of WoW, with gear scaling with your level, which defeats the main gearing itemization accomplishment of Classic. But I will say they did a poll on this recently in Discord to see if people liked it or not, so I think there might be some plans to remove this altogether, but we'll see. But either way, I think it's definitely an important thing to know because I think scaling is not the most popular feature amongst the Classic community. But just to sum up my feelings about Bronzebeard as simply as I can, from the new immediate content that I played, I think the server has the most quick hook potential for new players right out of the gate, more than any other Classic Plus server. However, even with that, it does not feel like I'm playing vanilla that much with some of the more immersion breaking features they have in the game. It almost feels like, again, a retail version of Classic WoW with a more aggressive cash shop than even Blizzard has ever had. Now, bottom line, you could ignore everything I just said and still play on the server by all means. As long as you personally are still having fun and it meets your expectations for Classic Plus, then go for it. I'm not going to tell you not to play it. But if you're just checking out Bronzebeard and doing your research, it's probably important you know exactly the type of server you would be playing on and investing your time in. One where level scaling exists. One where there is a supermassive cash shop that can give groups potentially a reason to pick a player who swiped their credit card over another who did not, depending on how many scrolls you have or if you have a certain profession max, or if you do have a floating book companion that your whole group can use, or even someone who did buy raid markers for the whole group. And that's all the goal of this video is really, just an FYI or PSA about Bronzebeard. But again, at the end of the day, dude, as long as you're having fun, that's really all that matters. But anyway, please down in the comments leave your thoughts on Bronzebeard. I'd love to get some more feedback on it. Now I know it's not really a Classic Plus server, but I still plan on checking out Ascension's Conquest of Azeroth. I'm not going to play it long term, but say what you want about Ascension, their devs are incredible with the customization they can put into the game, and 21 custom classes sounds like a lot of fun every once in a while to play. I guess to sum up, Ascension itself kind of feels like a more arcade style version of WoW. Very fast paced, very custom, very kind of just go, go, go type mentality. That's just my thinking about it. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. This is Double T Gaming, and I will see you guys in the next video.